All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have the Area 51 Premier Series here tonight at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 2.5 mile oval, and it's going to be a tricky one, difficult one for drivers. As you can see, we're watching that number 51 of Maxwell Caldwell make his way around the track tonight, and he's going to give us some insights of what we're going to be looking for tonight. So Maxwell, take us through a lap of this very technical, but also very fun when you get it right track.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you for tuning in to Green White Checker TV tonight. It's good to see you guys. Indianapolis Motor Speedway, very big, very wide, very flat. So a lot of things you're going to see these drivers fight with tonight. A one-groove track, you're really going to want to be on the bottom. Most of the time you're going to see big, long straightaways getting speeds almost 190 miles an hour before you get hard on the brakes here and really got to wait for that car to start rolling that center before you mat the throttle to get off. Now, turns 2 and 4, probably not going to use brake. You're going to play with the throttle like you would Atlanta and just try to pitch the car with the throttle to get that good exit speed down these super long straightaways. So since we kind of started the lap a little late, we'll run one more here, and you'll just see going into turn 1, start braking right there when you see those little pit signs on the outside. Bring it right down to the bottom, and you want to drive it straight up to the wall. The kicker is going to be not slapping the fenders against that wall. Set up tonight, the drivers are going to fight a little bit of that tight in, loose off. So the car does have a little bit of rear slide, especially on fresh tires, but you're also going to see the cars really fighting for grip on corner entry. You'll see some guys back it up real early like I just did there and just bring it down low early, and you're going to see other guys go for the big wide arc. The last thing we're going to see tonight, though, it's going to be treacherous, as this pit road, as inviting as it seems, you're going to come off the corner, immediately get on the brakes, and look where these cones are. They are super early. Right here, you have to be at 60 miles an hour before you even get to the pit wall. So that's going to be something drivers are going to be fighting. And guess what? If you miss pit road here by just a little bit, you could find yourself nose first into that pit entry wall right there. We've already seen it in practice tonight, Gael. Will anybody make that mistake and hit that on, during the race? But something else with pit road that we don't normally see either is we see that as you come down pit road, I'm not going to stop in my stall because there's a lot of time to gain right through here. Look at this pit exit. Look how much time you get to actually try to gas up and get an advantage. The way you get out of your stall and the way you get through all this is amazing because, look, you can't go on track just yet. You still got to stay on this access road down here. Some drivers like to keep it in third here. Some like to be in fourth gear for this. But the driver that can maximize their time and their speed on this pit exit will set themselves up all the way down this long straightaway and all the way to the start-finish line to get an excellent amount of time gained or lost even on pit road.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Maxwell. It's going to be very crucial, like you said, the pit entry, pit exit. Easy opportunities for mistakes on both. I mean, if you overdrive that pit exit, wash up into that grass, you're going to go straight onto the track, get an unsafe pit exit, get a little bit of a pit penalty. As you can see, that's what's going to happen as I'll say, look at the fences that'll catch the crowd, though, or catch you from the crowd, I should say. But no, you're spot on there, Maxwell. It's going to be very difficult. These drivers got to be on their toes here, nailing that pit entry and the pit exit. Because say you mentioned for the pit stops, we're gonna have 3 stops here tonight. Should be the schedule, unless you're Larry Yingling. I think you're gonna be going for the one stopper here tonight. But actually, no, I'm sorry, 2 stopper. Probably pitting maybe around 20-40 if you split it evenly. So that's gonna be another thing to kind of like we talked about too, is gonna be when we maybe think we see some of these drivers make that pit stop. Because there's definitely going to be some strategy involved on trying to make the best timing of trying to make those pit stops.
Absolutely. And you're going to see a lot of comers and goers probably tonight too. Tire wear is going to be very huge here tonight. As we practiced, I know I practiced with you, Gael, earlier this week, I think, either in the last week or earlier this week. Tires are really going to fall off 2 or 3 laps and you're already going to want some fresh Goodyears, but you've only got so many sets of tires to go through tonight. And Gael, I know we've said it before time and time again, and these guys tend to prove us wrong. As the way this setup is, as tight a racing as we're probably going to see, and how desperate it's going to be to try to make a pass tonight. Don't be shocked if we don't see a caution or two of guys slamming in the wall and spinning, or just guys trying to go for the pass and sliding up into someone else and taking maybe 2 contenders out for the win tonight. It's going to be tight and it's going to be crunch time, And just with 2 races left before the playoffs, it's every man for himself. I know I talked to the 93 earlier, and he's in a must-win situation to get in these playoffs, and we know how good that 93 is. But notice him choosing not to qualify, kind of starting a little farther back. We'll see how that works out for him. But, Gael, as we go through our starting grid, a lot of strategies we'll see tonight.
Yeah, exactly right. I say Ryan Kelly getting the pole tonight with a 53.194. Great qualifying run by Kevin Freese as well. He's in second position. See Larry Yingling there, third. Chad Wilkes fourth. Todd Merkel, good spot there in that fifth position as well. And then you got Gabe Butler, Dale Knott, James Ledford, Michael Spell, Eric Laurie. And like you mentioned, Jack Walls in 11th. The first car not to make a lap time there in qualifying is that 93 of Kevin DeBrown. And then just those couple other drivers here. Tonight here you've got Chris Matthews in 14th and then Joseph DeCiro there in the 15th position. So it looks like 14 drivers are going to take the grid tonight. But like you said, though, it's going to be all about, I think, that initial start. And I say I'm going to be watching Ryan Kelly here. We always talk about him having that long run pace. If he can hold on to the front here tonight, he's going to be a very difficult driver to get around as the run progresses, because we've seen the driver out front in the clean air, they can really kind of set sail and just, it seems like the track is just that much better for them with that clean air on the nose versus having that dirty air in front of them. So I think this initial start, I think Ryan Kelly, Kevin Freese, I think these guys are going to have to be very aggressive here. They can't jump the start, of course. They got to go once that green flag flies. But I think that's going to be a very important opening set of turns to see which of these drivers can put themselves to the front here at the start.
Absolutely. And weirdly enough, in practice, both times we did a mock run, we noticed that the outside car actually can catch a little bit better traction and sometimes can clear before turn 1. So I know Kevin Freese was a part of that, Ryan Kelly as well. They both know that. The second row there, Yingling and Wilkes, they probably don't know that. They wasn't participating in that practice we had earlier. So, a lot to learn here, but I will say this. The car up front is going to have a major advantage, at least while they're all in a pack. After we do green flag pit stops and get spread out, may not be as big of an advantage when it's easier to get a run on just one car and pass. But for the most part, unless you're super aggressive, this is probably going to be a follow the leader of the race. That second groove really doesn't have a lot of grip. It's almost like ice out there, and any driver that's went out there has lost 1, if not 2 or more spots. So it's really going to be something we watch here as we get this thing underway.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here as you see the pace truck heads in. That's going to hand it over to the flagman and then to Ryan Kelly and Kevin Freese. As the green flag flies, we'll see who's able to get through the gears the quickest. It looks like pretty even start between the two of them. Ryan Kelly just a nose ahead, so we'll see as they come through turn number 1.
Absolutely, and that was a huge start for Ryan Kelly to be able to work. And look at Kevin Freese, already going to lose that second spot. Luckily, looks like he's going to find a place to slot down in P3. I know that 5 car has been very fast in the practice sessions all week long, and he's been rivaling the times of the 13 of Ryan Kelly and the 67 of Larry Yingling. So look for him to be a contender all night long, as the 17 looks to take a look going off into turn 3.
Yes, and I think this is one of those things when you get the opportunity, you're going to need to try to take them because, again, it's just those opportunities are going to be so few far in between. And so, like you said, Chad Wilkes trying to take advantage of that. He's going to grab that third spot going into turn number 3 as they come out of 4 for the first time, take the first lap completed. And you see Ryan Kelly looks like he's going to hold solidly to get that first lap led. So he's going to try to break that draft a little bit from that 67 Larry Yingling.
Absolutely, and it could just be me, but when we were practicing earlier, we did that snaking down to the inside lane, and I honestly noticed some of my lap times were getting a little bit quicker only on the front stretch when you did that. I don't know if it's some side draft off of that wall or what it may be, but you definitely picked up, about 100th or 2 running down there next to that wall. So look for drivers on that front stretch to probably start snaking down there lap after lap, not only to protect their position, but also to get a little bit of speed before that corner.
Yeah, exactly right. And so it'll be curious to see what, like you said, what that strategy is going to be. How much kind of protection, or how much do you play defensive on if you're Ryan Kelly here to try to keep Larry behind you? Because again, I said we know how good Ryan Kelly is typically on the long runs, but at the same time too, you can't rest with Larry behind you because Larry's always got some tricks up his sleeve. But they've been able to separate themselves out just a little bit from Chad Wilkes there in that third spot. But he's starting to get, again, that pressure coming right back on that from that number 5 of Kevin Freese. And then right there in 5th, Todd Merkel, we were talking with him. He's definitely spent some time running some laps here And I think he made the best statement that of some of the drivers here in practice. He said he's just going to have to really kind of keep himself in check and not overdrive this car, because like you mentioned as well, it's so inviting to just overdrive that turn a little bit. And I mean, like you said, the exit of 2, exit of 4, and even the tunnel turns, it's just so tempting to wash up just that little bit too much and catch the wall.
Absolutely. And, Todd Merkel probably running one of the better races we've seen from him all season long. I was joking around with him earlier asking, I was asking a lot of drivers, what's it going to take to win tonight? And, a lot of drivers didn't feel too confident coming in here at Indy. And, he was really one of them that didn't have a whole lot of confidence coming in. But it's great to see him running right there. Look who he's matching pace with. Chad Wilkes, Kevin Freeze. He's running in front of Dale Knott, who we know is a top 5 contender week after week. I mean, Todd Merkel is really showing great pace early on. The question is going to be, is he going to be able to hold on to it, or is he going to start getting a lot of heat built up in that right front tire, sliding the nose a little bit, and start getting the long run pace to slow down? But I tell you what, this battle for third is not slowing down at all. First and second are pretty spaced out like I expected, but I'm telling you, this 5 car, if he can get around that 17, I think he could zip up there to that 67. He has shown pace all week long. So it's going to be real interesting to see when and how he sets up this pass, as you see him getting a great run out of turn 4 coming down this front stretch.
Yeah, he's right there saying, but this is what we saw in practice when we ran some laps here to try to get a feel for things. It's just breaking that bubble almost, it feels like, of trying to get just enough of that run. But if you're Chad Wilkes, as long as you get these good exits out of 2 out of 4, it's going to make life that much harder for Kevin Freeze to get that position. So you see Kevin here, he gains a little bit off of 2 there. But again, I don't think it's going to be quite enough to get there. But he might now actually get it close enough where he's going to peek the nose here, at least show that Chad Wilkes is there. And I think he is going to get enough here to take the look entering turn 3.
Absolutely. What a fantastic run. And what he really did was, I believe he came out even with the 17 out of 2. But with as close as he was and a little bit of draft he was able to sniff, it was just enough to get him ahead. Now, he's probably going to have to take a lap to get his car used to being back in cleaner air. When you're tucked right up beneath somebody, you won't believe how tight that nose is. And if I'm the 5, I would want to be protecting this right now, but he's just going to allow the 17 to cross him over and try to make that same move back. Neither of these drivers at the moment doing any tire save with this maneuvering, but I think that was a missed opportunity for the 5. I think he could have ran down low close to that wall and at least protected his line going into turn 1 and then started setting that pace that we know he's got in that car.
Yeah, so Chad did a good job there getting a good exit out of 4 after Kevin had passed him, and he's, like you said, is able to get that spot right on back. So unfortunately for Kevin, got the job done, but he's going to have it all to do again in that number 5 machine. So we'll keep an eye, because you can see he's keeping right pace there. You see a little bobble, I feel like, from the 17. It's got Kevin a little bit closer here. But again, it's all about that exit out of turn number 2 and 4, I think, was the biggest opportunities here. But look, just a little further back, we talked about some of those drivers that didn't make a qualifying attempt. That number 93 of Kevin DeBrown, we talked about him probably in a must-win situation. Say he's missed a couple of races. Unfortunately, real life, let's say he's going to be going on vacation, so he's not going to be able to make it next week. So if he can get that win to lock himself in, that would obviously give him a huge breathing space and be able to really, I think, relax going into that vacation.
And look at that exit speed he brings out of turn 2. Going to run side by side with Dale Knott. And knowing his aggressive level, he's not close enough, but it wouldn't have shocked me for him to have tried to send it under the 2. But I think he's going to wait and set him up, possibly as soon as out of 4. That car really rotating. When we were practicing, he was running with me pretty close. And here's the setup right here. He's going to look underneath in turn 4. Maybe focus more on this exit as Merkel pushes up. We see the run of the 93. Going to get right in that draft wake and then pull out before he hits that bubble. Going to show the nose and probably make this pass going into turn 1.
You also see, look at that. He's trying to squeeze right on the door of Todd Merkel, try to get a little bit of a side draft there. And that's going to be enough. Todd's going to have to roll out of that little bit extra. So move Kevin now up into the 5th position. So 7 spots gained for that 93 car. So I say up front, it's still pretty equal between Ryan Kelly and Larry Yingling, about that 0.8 of a second margin. I say Chad Wilkes and Kevin Freeze, those two still right on top of each other as well, that just about a 1/10 or 2 off of one another. But yeah, I say right now Kevin Brown making some big gains here early on. Dale not now. Dale, can he follow through and try to find a way around that 2 car? But like you said, though, I mean, Todd is hitting his marks very well. So I'll say it's going to be difficult. He's got to get that exit out of 4, or 2 or 4, of course, to try to make those moves happen.
And the only thing that I see that is optimistic for Dale Knott is that 2 car is really sending the car off in on corner entry. That is fine, especially in a defensive position, because I've even said the way the aerodynamics are working this week here at Indy, that you can almost park that car on the bottom of the track, slow down as much as you need, because it's going to be very difficult even then for a car to make a pass on you on the outside. So you can drive that defensive line and be slower if it means you're protecting a position. But what's happening is that 2 car is sending it in so deep that he is sliding up mid-corner, and if the 94 can continue to roll the bottom, he can have that nose on him on corner exit and have him set up for the very next corner, or better yet, out of 2 or out of 4, he can definitely have that running. You can see that 94 is just a half lane lower. You see that too, gaps him going in the corner, but on exit, watch this 94 get a big run where he keeps it pinched. Not only is he helping his tires, but he's helping his run here. Just not getting quite enough of one to make the pass just yet, though, Guile.
Yeah, he's just tantalizingly close to make the move, but he knows he's not close enough. I'm saying he's not. I'm saying the way Dale races, I say he's not an over-aggressive driver. He's not going to just force the issue or show the nose if he's not ready. And what you see right here now, Dale gets a good run, does show the nose, and Todd has to react there to it. And now it's going to be that drag race out of turn number 2. And this will be an interesting one. We haven't seen this yet where they go 2x2 off the exit. So right now we're watching actually, yeah, Todd gets a better exit there off of 2. He's going to hold on to that spot still. So I'll say Dale got a great run and just wasn't out of the turn that he needed it to be able to take advantage of that full long straightaway.
But look at this huge run. He's probably, if he would stay committed, he could get that nose on the entrance. He's going to back out of it knowing it's early on. But again, Gael, I'm telling you right now, if you're going to win this race, it's going to be because you were the most aggressive driver. No matter what position you're going for, a pass is going to be difficult. But if you can show the nose, that second or that driver that's in front of you has no choice but to concede. If they come down on you, they risk you clipping them and spinning them, or they risk just overdriving the corner and sliding up. But if they get in that second lane, the car on the bottom has the preferred lane. They will be able to make that pass. It's just going to take an absolute commitment, as now we see the 94 saying he's done with this. He's going to show the nose, get that run, side draft that 2 a little bit down the backstretch, and have him cleared by the exit of turn 3.
Yeah, so it looked like Todd just got a little wide there out of turn number 2. That cost him some momentum. Dale had a really late apex, was really able to cut that turn there and kind of straighten a straight exit out. So a great job by Dale. That's going to move him now up into that 6th position. Drop Todd back to 7th now. And then right behind him, we got a little cluster here of these guys trying to close on this as well. You got the one of Gabe Butler coming off his top 5 last week at Daytona. And then Jack Walls, Chris Matthews, both these drivers gaining a couple spots from their starting positions as well. So I say these guys are definitely starting to close that gap to these guys in front of them. So I say not too far away from being probably about a five or so pack car group here in just another lap or 2.
Absolutely, and I'm just trying to, while you're looking at the battle in the back, guy, I'm trying to check some of the lap times of this group 3rd through 5th to kind of see how they're running. And I'm telling you, they're really on top of each other. You got last lap, Chad Wilkes had a 54.676, and then you have Kevin Freeze here with a 54.797, about a 10th or so off. But then you go to Kevin Brown, and he's running lap times very similar to that 5 car. So granted, he has had to drive his way from a very low starting spot in 12th place all the way up to the top 5 at a track that you really can't pass. So he's probably stuck where he's at right now. But that 93 is showing a lot of speed. But I'm telling you, all night long, I think my eye is on that 93. I think he could win this race if he gets track position at the right time. I think he knows what to do to hold on. We know how aggressive of a driver this 93 is. And, you know, he's just shown pace in practice. He chose not to qualify. But I think he's going for every bonus point that he can get. He's probably going for that most positions gained bonus point. Because, again, his points position with the drop weeks and everything, he is going to probably be in a must-win situation. So, really looking for that 93 to do whatever he can to win. And we know he'll take risk after risk after risk, don't we, Gael? This driver knows what to do to be aggressive and try to go after it. And I say the most aggressive driver is going to win. And that most aggressive driver tonight could easily be that 93.
Yeah, exactly right. I say, but like I said, the first thing is for him, he's going to have to get there And saying Ryan Kelly, he's kind of done job number one. He was able to get the lead. He's able to kind of set his pace. And I mean, we've seen Ryan Kelly. This is where he shines, as he really can just really stretch it out on these guys on these long runs. He hasn't been able to shake Larry, though. Larry's actually been able to close the gap on him a little bit there. It's now back down to about that 8/10. It was about a second and maybe 1.3 or so. But Larry's starting to creep that gap back down again. And then so those two are able to separate themselves a little bit. So I say that's the issue right now for Kevin, is he's about that 5.5 seconds off of our race leaders right now. But at the same time, though, if these two, maybe if they get closer, they start fighting a little bit, maybe that brings that 93 car into the picture still.
Absolutely, and I'm looking at lap times compared to our leaders. And the 17 and the 5, we saw them swapping back and forth and dive bombing each other a little bit. That's affected their tires. We talk about that long run pace, right? They're about 3 to 4 tenths of a second almost off of the lap times Ryan Kelly is setting right now. And I didn't get a chance just yet to look at Larry Yingling's, but I'm pretty sure they're probably staying about the same, because I'm pretty sure that gap has not changed a whole lot. Matter of fact, Larry Yingling actually has closed that gap since last I looked. Last I looked, it was about a second off. Now he's about 8 tenths off, so he's probably slowly but surely starting to reel in Ryan Kelly and really out saving the tires of Ryan Kelly. Ryan Kelly, normally known as our tire saver in this league. Larry Yingling's starting to close the gap, and we've seen that a few times this season between these two drivers. But, it got brought to my attention too tonight, Gael. Ryan Kelly and Larry Yingling, pretty well the only drivers that have won a race this season, and look at them up front running 1-2 right now. And I called it very early in the season, 2 championship favorites right here. You still have Chad Wilkes that's trying to race his way in. He doesn't have a victory, and he's missed a race or two. So he is also probably, I don't know that he's in a must-win, but he is right there on the edge in points. So he's trying to do everything he can to get a solid finish tonight and next week to lock himself in. A lot of things going on with some of these front runners, Gael. And we try not to talk about the points too much, but we're at that point in the season. It's time to start looking at points and look at these guys running together that are battling. Chad Wilkes, Kevin Freese, Dale Knott. They're all right there in the points together, and none of them giving an inch. So be interesting to see how this one shapes out, Gael.
Yeah, and you see, here's going to be a nice, interesting comparison here. You see Jack Walls, he just made a pit stop there, and so now he's got those fresh tires, and he's going to try to get himself unlapped here. And that's the thing we didn't bring up that I think is actually a pretty big thing to think about, is you can make a green flag pit stop here without going a lap down. So say for Jack here, say this is a tough spot for Ryan Kelly. Obviously doesn't want to give up ground to Larry Yingling, but I mean, obviously Jack Wall's quicker here. And so you see Ryan's going to give it up to him there in the short shoot here, then try to get a good exit off of turn number 2 and maybe pull the draft off that 83 car to keep that gap on Larry Yingling. But we are getting very close to that first pit stop window for, I think, the majority of our leaders here. Jack Walls opted pit a little bit earlier, maybe had some damage that decided to use the fast repair on. I think he'll still be in a pretty normal pit strategy side of things. I think he'll still be okay there. But I mean, you can see the pace difference, though, from those fresh tires to these tires that got about those 17 laps on them.
Absolutely. So I'm not for sure, Gael, but he could be very, 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 very close on fuel to making it to the end.
We got our first taker here.
We have to make. Oh, and we got someone coming down pit road here.
And who's someone that's going to take the gambles, Maxwell? We talked about at the beginning. Needs to take risks. Needs to do something different. It's going to be that 93 of Kevin DeBrown, so he's going to be the first of our lead pack to hit the pits. While that was all going on, though, Ryan lost a little bit of momentum, unfortunately, behind Jack Walls. And I think also that dirty air of that number 83 car was able to then kind of give Larry the upper hand there. So now Larry's been able to jump over here and take the lead. So get Larry his first lap lead of the race. So I'm curious to see now Ryan losing that track position. Maybe he tries to do that undercut, jump in the pits here before the 67, kind of like we saw the 67 do to the number 17 of Chad Wilkes last week at Daytona.
Absolutely, and Kevin Brown ought to be able to gain quite a bit of time here. I'm really watching this pit exit now to see how quick he really takes this thing, already up to 120 mile an hour as he starts coming out. I mean, you're going to really get up to speed on this access road, but it's just right here going into turn 2 is going to be the big focus for drivers coming out of the pit exit. You can't clip the grass, get that incident point. You have to stay below that blue line to exit. And it looks like he kept pretty good speed out of here. So 93 looking like he had great pit stop execution. First on pit road, and looking at his lap times, he'd already fell off 2 seconds off pace in just a matter of 16 laps.
Yeah,
So that is huge on lap time. So he may gain quite a bit of time here.
Exactly right. And saying Ryan Kelly, Kevin Freeze, they did come in here. So I said we got the potential undercut going on. So we'll watch Larry now. Does Larry react to this? Does he hit pit road this time around? I said this is where it's all really going to start kicking off. And you see, yep, here comes Larry. But you see, Larry took a little bit more conservative, I feel like, here coming into the pits. Didn't really send it out to the wall and then bring it back down. So Larry, I think, trying to make sure no pit speeding penalty. Dale Knott's going to come with him. That's going to give Chad Wilkes here a bonus point in getting that lap led. So yeah, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this pit cycle all kind of cycles through here completely. Because right now, I believe Kevin Brown has actually been able to jump in front of, let me find that 93 car here. He's been able to cycle in front of Kevin Freeze, so he has been able to gain a spot here over the pit stop cycle.
Absolutely, and you know, I'm dumbfounded here, Gaio. I really am. We have seen week after week after week what this 13 of Ryan Kelly does. He pits about a lap or two earlier than everybody else, gets the jump on them, and still holds on to position. Larry Yingling made the pass on track to get in front of that 13. He knew the 93 just came down pit road, and he knew the pit window was open. Why he wouldn't have went ahead and come down knowing the 13 was probably going to come, I will never understand. And Chad Wilkes, he has been the one that has stayed out the longest out of these group of three. And he has done that yet again tonight, and I'm afraid he's only going to lose about 4 seconds to our leader, more than he was already behind. So really not helping himself catch up. Over the long run, will he be just a little off? Yeah, but you got to try something to get a little closer in case a caution does come out. So look for the 13 to be taking the lead back here when all this pit cycle stuff goes through. And look for him to have a gap bigger than he's ever had on Larry Yingling tonight. So I'm calling missed opportunity for the 17 and for the 67. I really believe that was a missed opportunity to take advantage, really for the 17 just to get up to the 13. But for the 67, that could have been the race-winning difference, was the very first pit stop. Now, Larry can try to undercut him the next pit stop, and maybe that's what he's thinking. But I don't know. We know Ryan Kelly always pits as early as he really can. So, again, just my call as of right now, missed opportunity for that 67 and missed opportunity for the field when Ryan got bottled up and lost that momentum. They could have came down pit road and really tried to play catch-up with him.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see because right now we still got 3 cars yet to pit. Of course, our leader, Chad Wilkes in the 17, then the 2 of Todd Merkel, and then the 92 of Chris Matthews. I'll see these guys going a little long. I mean, the one thing that could kind of put things in their favor, again, there is a limit of tires in the pits. You have 3 sets in the pits, so depending on if and when a caution falls, it could put them in a position, again, where it probably forces these guys to maybe have to either stay out and give them the tire advantage, or potentially, of course, then they have to burn a set where Chad, Todd, and Chris would actually have a set to the good of those guys. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see here. As right now it looks like Chad is pretty much just at this point. I think he stayed out long enough. He's just all in now. He's just gonna basically run this thing out as far as he can. So it's gonna be interesting to see what the strategy is gonna be, because I mean he could try some sort of an alternate strategy towards the end of the race. Should we go green, which right now everybody's spread out a little bit, but as we know, it's very easy to make mistakes here at Indy. So say never can count anything out at this track.
Absolutely, and the only thing I can think of is maybe Chad Wilkes thinks that once he gets fresh tires, he can cut that gap back down with just pure speed. But I haven't seen that speed out of the 17 like I have the 13 and the 67. They pretty well from the start of the race pulled away from him and pulled away at a good clip. It's not like the 17 didn't clear the 5, soon enough. He got him cleared almost the first lap and took that 3rd spot. So, he can't blame battling with the 5 too much on his loss of speed. He was already losing time to those 2 before he got in the battle with the 5 that first run. So, big gainer I see right now is that 93, who is ahead of Kevin Freeze right now. So, technically speaking, with Chad Wilkes staying out, Kevin Brown has put himself from a 12th place starting spot up to 3rd. And really, not too many seconds off of Ryan Kelly. Now, will he be able to hold that same time and not lose time to Ryan over the run? Don't know. Probably not. But at least he put himself in a top 3 spot now, where if a caution does come out, he now is in a position where he can race these guys for that win.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, he's getting himself a ton of track position over the course of this run. And like I said, he only pitted 1 lap earlier than Ryan, so he pitted on lap 17, lap 18 for Ryan, lap 19 for Larry. But you can see they're all now just about a second or two off of one another. Ryan Kelly about 1.3 off of, or sorry, Larry about 1.3 off of Ryan. Kevin about 2.3 off of Larry. And the one thing this does do, again, you see everybody's all pretty much spread out here. But this is going to give all of these drivers that clean air that we talked about being so crucial. So right now it's really in the driver's hands here. They can kind of make or break their race pace here. They can hit their marks. They don't have to worry about that car right in front of them. So this is where these drivers, I think they can kind of see if they can kind of control their own fate. Like, say, for instance, if Kevin's able to get that long run pace here compared to maybe a Larry or a Ryan, then that's going to be where he can make something happen. But we have talked about all season long, Kevin hasn't really been a long run driver. He's really good for about that first half of the run, but then it occasionally seems to have a tendency to abuse his stuff a little bit. So we'll be curious to see if that comes again tonight, which right now is he's running relatively similar lap times than these guys. But again, he did pit the earliest, so he is a little bit off pace, and it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, you're a little slower, but it's only one lap difference. But when you look at it, again, it's a 2.5 mile track, very flat, very abrasive. It's very easy to burn up those tires right off the bat.
Absolutely, and if I'm Kevin, I am adamant, and I am making sure I pit again the soonest out of everybody. And even maybe get 2 laps on these guys if he can swing it with the fuel strategy. He could take a big risk and try to pit early and hope a caution comes out to help get him back on strategy to the end. Because, again, he's really in a must-win situation. So,
yep.
With that being said, he can try some things, and if he doesn't win, what loss did he really have? You know, because if he just settles for third in this race, I don't think that's going to be enough points to get him in, Gaio. I really think it's a must-win for Kevin, unless some other guys have some really unfortunate fate. And looking at this leaderboard and looking at yet another almost flag-to-flag race we're starting to look at, I don't see that happening. So, but one thing I do want to point out that our viewers may not have noticed, you look at Ryan Kelly heading off into turn 3 right now. And I want you to see where Chad Wilkes is at currently. He is just now in the middle of the backstretch. He's almost a full long straightaway behind Ryan Kelly. He is 14.2 seconds back as of the previous lap. He lost a ton of time staying out. I don't know if he was waiting for a caution. I don't know what he was waiting for, but he has lost a ton of time. He is now behind Dale Knott. We know how tough it is to pass. He is now behind Kevin Freeze. He's now behind Kevin Brown. So he went from 3rd to 6th. And I really don't think he's gained anything here, Gael. So I maybe was just hoping for a caution to change things up. But now he took himself from a solid 3rd place finish where he could have a solid points day. And he's really put himself back here in a hole now that he's got to try to dig himself out of. And he only took about a half second off the lead right there. I don't know that he's going to make up enough time for it to matter.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough spot for that 17 car. But I think he just is one of those things you got to go off strategy and figure out what that opportunity is going to be. So, but right now, say Larry's, he's closing that gap on Ryan now. It's down to about that 0.3 of a second, and they've been able to stretch it out over the 93 of Kevin Brown. But then Kevin Freeze, we talked about how solid he's been week in and week out. Especially tonight, we feel like he's been having really good long run pace. And it's been showing here again. He pitted on the same lap as Ryan Kelly, 1 lap after Kevin Brown, but he's running about about 0.3 of a second quicker that last time by. So he is running really good lap times in that 5 car, and is starting to slowly but surely here reel in that 93 car.
Absolutely. So we know Kevin Freeze has great pace. We know that he's a strong driver. We just saw, at least I did, Chad Wilkes did get around Dale Knott there for that 5th position, but still 12.9 seconds back. He's still got a long way to go there. But Kevin Freeze absolutely running just solid, consistent. He's right there with Kevin Brown. He's in striking distance where he can make that pass. And, we haven't seen Kevin Freeze sliding up the track a whole lot. When he gets right behind somebody, you may see that a little bit. That nose just losing all front downforce and just sliding a little. But, man, that car is clean. It's smooth. No dents, no scratches. He has not smacked the wall at any point so far. And he is just running a great race. We've seen it week in and week out, Gael. 4th, 5th, 5th, 6th, whatever. He is constantly top 5 week in and week out, it seems. And if he doesn't finish there, like unfortunate circumstances last week at the road course. But, whether it's a road course, whether it's a regular 1.5 miles, whether it's a short track, doesn't matter. He is running up front. he is doing a good job. I really had him as a dark horse pick kind of for the win tonight, and I still think he can if we get cautions. But Gael, to my surprise, I thought we would have a caution or two of some guys bouncing off the walls and then spinning the car out. We haven't seen that tonight. These guys are proving why they're some of the best out here on iRacing. They are running smooth, consistent laps, and they are keeping this thing green, driving each other with a lot of respect. But you see, as we've been talking, that 5 has really closed that gap within 0.3 of a second now to Kevin Brown for third.
Yeah, so we have a good battle up front as well. Larry Yingling, Ryan Kelly going side by side here for the lead. They actually stayed side by side through turns 1 and 2, side by side again through the backstretch here. Ryan Kelly not trying to give up the spot to Larry. We saw him roll out earlier. This time he does give, now entering turn number 3. That was a good battle between the two of them, but Larry's been able to find something, it seems like, tonight. We talked because, he's been able to start kind of beating Ryan Kelly at his own game on that long run here. So, say that 67 car, it looks like he's definitely showing that he's going to be the one to contend with. So Larry gets the lead there, but now, like I said, we got to jump back to this battle here now for the third position. So, like I said, here comes Kevin Fries. He's got the run on the 93 car, and I think, like I said, it's only a matter of time there. I think Kevin maybe burned his stuff up a little bit here. So now the 5 car working around the 93. He gets the spot, but now we'll see if Kevin learned from with the 17 car, because now he's got to make sure he gets a good exit out of 2 and doesn't let that 93 car get back underneath him here down the back.
Absolutely, and I don't think the 93 has much of a car to contend with the 5 right now. Just the tires aren't there. Again, the 93, I think, has great pace, especially on the fresh tires. But just, he's having to be so aggressive to make up time from starting in the back, I think he was also thinking there was going to be an early caution, and that's why he started back there, because I knew he had pace to qualify up front with these guys. So maybe a missed opportunity for the 93 not qualifying, as we're now past that halfway point in the race here.
Oh, big hit off the wall for the 93.
Oh, and that is detrimental to his chances. That is going to not only slow that car down right now with a bunch of momentum, and, just that little hit has already sent him 2.5 seconds off, and now he's going to have damage. It's going to make that car even tighter, going to make it handle worse, and he's now in a position where he's going to want to get to pit road as soon as he can to fix that damage, but then he's going to really be pushing whether he can make it to the end of the race or not, right? We know the fuel mileage is kind of tight here for someone to do. I think it's impossible to do a one-stopper here, so we know he's going to have to make a second stop, but even if he makes that second stop, he was one of the first cars down. So now, will he actually be able to make it without making 3 stops? It's going to be so tight. He's going to have to stay out here longer. Now look who's behind him catching him. The 17, that wall hit was an absolutely detrimental thing to happen for his chances of winning the race. And look at that speed difference of that 17 and that 93. It's no comparison. 17 will have him cleared by the exit of 1.
Yeah, so it's like you said, it's a little bit of everything now for Kevin here. He's going to be a little bit tighter, and he's going to lose the top end speed. And you can see if he was going to pit there to get the damage fix, he would have done it there. So I think you're exactly right, Maxwell. He's going to have to limp this thing along until he gets into that pit window. We saw some of those drivers. Chad Wilkes, he ran 23 laps. So if I'm that the 93 car, you got to wait 5 more laps and then bring it into pit road and get service done, get that repair done. But yeah, you do need to mention, though, Chad Wilkes, to say again, he went way later on the pit strategy. He is starting to cycle himself back towards these guys again. Like I said, he's still about 9.5 seconds off the lead, but he's now only 2 seconds off of Kevin Fries. So we'll have to see. Maybe it does find a way to cycle himself out to kind of be back where he was. So maybe he is still onto something with those fresher tires. Obviously catching a break from the damage from that 93 car here. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. But what we should do, though, before we get to that second set of pit stops, is we haven't run through the field yet. And we're going to start off with our race leader in that 67 of Larry Yingling. Right behind him, you got the number 13 of Ryan Kelly there. Our pole sitter, just lost his lead to Larry just a few laps ago. And we saw Kevin Fries just getting around that 93 car in that number 5 now up into 3rd. Chad Wilkes, again, kind of a not alternate strategy, but running along here on the first run. He is now in the 4th position. Kevin Brown, we unfortunately saw that wall contact from the 93 car. He is now in 5th. In 6th position is the number 94 of Dale Knott, starting to close the gap, of course, now from that damage from the 93 car. And then in 7th, Todd Merkel still holding nice and steady pace here. I say he's lost a group to, or pace to the lead group here, but still right now kind of leading the second group of cars here. They've kind of split up a little bit in 2 packs. And then one of the first ones to pit there in the 83 of Jack Walls, he pitted on lap 14. It's going to be interesting to see. He's going to have to run this stint really long here to be able to make it to the end. So we'll see how his pace holds up throughout the run. And then Chris Matthews, another one of those drivers, went as far as he could on that first stint, 23 laps. He is now in the 9th position, plus 5 from his starting spot. And then rounding out our top 10, the one of Gabe Butler. Unfortunately, dropped a few spots from his starting position, but still in the top 10. And then just kind of creeping in on him is the 48 of James Ledford in 11th. Eric Laurie about 2.5 back in the 12th position. And then I think I just saw a pit stop, if I'm not mistaken, from Joseph DeCiro. Oh, actually, no, I think he was just getting out of the way of leaders now that I look at it. Joseph DeCiro here is in the 13th position. And unfortunately, we didn't catch it, but Michael Spell had a pit penalty. He is in the 14th position. Now the second car 1 lap down. So unfortunately, that stop and hold is a 55-second time in the pits. Really hurt the 88 there of Michael Spell. And while we were looking at that, Chad Wilkes has gotten around the 5 of Kevin Freeze here for that 3rd spot.
So we see Chad Wilkes has made it back to 3rd where he was. That's fine and dandy. How many seconds is he off now compared to what he was? It's still... He has surprised me. He has made up more time than I thought. But he is still 9 seconds off those leaders. And he started this run about, 12 and a half, 13 seconds off. He's only made up over the course of this entire fuel run about 3 seconds. So if he were to stay out long again, guess what? He's going to add even more time to his stuff. And even though he's going to have fresher tires, he's probably only going to get back to about 11 or 12 seconds behind by the time this race ends. So even though he's still making up time, it's very, very, very little at this point. I mean, the tires are pretty well cycled out and equaled out at this point to our leader, Larry Yingling. And I guess I get it, like, attaboy to bringing it back to 3rd, but you still gave up time on track when you could have just pitted that lap earlier and been a whole lot closer to Ryan Kelly, maybe even battling with Ryan Kelly at this point, you know. So, in my opinion, he gave up a ton of seconds where he could have gained about 2 seconds or so and pitted with Ryan, the 93 and been right there with Ryan and Larry. He's now finding himself 9 seconds off the pace. Even though he does have fresher tires, he's 9 seconds off the pace. So that's without a caution. I don't see him being able to make that up even with a short pit stop here. And we see Ryan Kelly on pit road. We see him short stopping yet again. This could be what gets him the lead back, and maybe he can manage those tires better to stay ahead of Larry Yingling this time.
Yeah, and surprisingly, I thought we'd see the 93 as well in the pits, but Kevin Brown, he's going to go one more lap, and you're exactly right, though. Ryan Kelly, he's going to hit the pits here. He's going to go for that undercut again on that 67 car. So we'll see now again, does Larry have to react to him right away? Also bringing in a few others with him, Jack Walls, James Ledford. They're looking at this as that pit window as well. So I think drivers feeling confident they can make it to the end from here. So now if you're Larry Yingling, what do? You were starting to build a gap on that 13 car. Is this earlier than you wanted to be? Nope, he's going to react. Here comes our race leader, Larry Yingling. He's going to pit here. And I'm going to watch the pit lane time because Ryan Kelly, he's in and out already. It was, I believe, 49.5 seconds in the pits total. Here comes Kevin Freeze as well. I suspect, yeah, you see here comes, I think, oh, nope, I'm wrong. Actually, I thought Dale Knott was going to pit. He stays out as well. So it's going to be bring Larry Yingling and Kevin Freeze into the pits. Chad Wilkes going to take the lead back over. And surprisingly, again, Kevin Brown, I thought he would be one of the first to pit. I think he's hoping for some luck and maybe getting a timely caution here to bring himself back into the mix as well.
I think that's the only chance he has after having that wall contact. And I think he realizes that was a missed opportunity when he smacked that wall. So we see the 67 on pit road. We see the 5 just now get into his stall. 67 is now leaving. So when Ryan Kelly pitted, I looked at the lap number. I think that is right on the edge. He'll probably be left at the start-finish line with maybe half to three-quarters of a lap. And here's the race off pit road. There's the 13 coming by. He's going to make the pass, but I don't think he's going to get too big a lead here on the 67. And I saw that the 13 was really sliding the back end around. He better not build a bunch of heat in the rear of that car, or the 67 will run him right back down. But great pit strategy, get that 13 back out in front of Larry Yingling. But now the question is going to be, as we come to about 21 to go. Will he be able to hold on to the rest of this lead? And Ryan Kelly, if a caution comes out at the end of the race and we have a green, white, checkered, he will have to pit for fuel. I don't think he can make it. He is right on that edge. Larry Yingling got 1 lap buffer in the tank, and I think that's what he was looking at more than anything. So if we get no cautions and track position truly becomes king, Ryan Kelly has made a great call. If we get a caution at the end of this race and Ryan Kelly has a pit for fuel and Larry can stay out for a green, white, checkered, that'd be really interesting, Gael.
Yeah, it's going to be very intriguing to see how this all pans out. Saying Ryan Kelly, he just ran the fastest lap of the race. So say not saving tires in that 13 car, 53.20. So he's trying to find a way to keep that gap on Larry. But like I said, he needs to make sure he's not abusing his stuff too much. And now the 93 of Kevin Brown, he does hit pit road, getting everything he can there to got a wheel down there for this pit speed. But again, though, we talked about pit strategy. Chad Wilkes, looks like he is going to go for that stretch strategy again here. Because, again, he pitted on lap 23 last time. So he can, in theory, he can go to about lap 46, which would be about 14, 15 to go. So he can run about 5 more laps if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be interesting to see what Chad does again. I mean, you never know what could happen when. So right now, Chad Wilkes, Todd Merkel have yet to make their final pit stop. Same thing goes for Chris Matthews in the 92 car. He's trying to stretch his run a little bit further as well. We'll have to see how everything times out at the moment. But last time by, actually, Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingling, identical lap times, 53.31s for the pair of them. And again, comparing it to Chad Wilkes, staying out in the long run here, 55.25, 2 seconds slower than these guys. So it's like you said, we'll have to kind of see what the kind of short-term gain, long-term short-term loss, long-term gain. We'll have to see how that pans out for the 17 car.
I just don't like that strategy, Gael. I don't like staying out right here. This race has already went green for 40 laps. Why would it not go? With the hit, you look at the history of races and the history of guys you're running with, and we see that this season, I can probably count on one hand out of the entire season how many cautions we've had, Gael. It's really not been a lot. Most of these races have went flag to flag, actually green flag. So at a big track like this, we've already seen one set of pit stops made. The second set of pit stops getting ready to be made. They've already had practice with it. You assume all the drivers are going to do even better than they did the first time. I've been proven wrong before. I don't see that caution coming out, and I know that's what Chad's looking for. That caution where he can pit and have those fresher tires on a restart to go after the 13 and the 67. But I think that's all he's hoping on. If he has to pit under green, I truly believe he does not get a top 3 finish then, if that happens. So those 3 guys that have stayed out, they're banking on a caution, and you already see the 67s coming behind the 92. The 92 is going to go ahead and bail and come to pit road. So I don't see the sense in staying out, because Chad Wilkes, if he could at least pit here, he could give himself the maximum amount of laps to use his fresh tires to try to gain on the 67 and the 13. But when he gives himself less time to do it with and puts himself in an even bigger deficit, I just don't see him gaining that time, Gael.
Yeah, it's going to be, I mean, I think right now for Chad, I think it's one of those things, I think Indy is not a place of gambling. As I say that, actually, here comes Chad now. He is going to hit pit road at 18 to go, coming to 17 to go. So I say this isn't like a place like a Vegas, known for gambling per se, but I think that's what we saw from the 17 car. I think he was kind of gambling a little bit, trying to see maybe he could catch that caution, force those other guys to have to come back in again, most likely. But yeah, so Chad, I say he is going to pit a little early here than he had to, but I think, like you said, this is his best opportunity to get at least back to that 3rd position in that 17 car. So we'll have to see how he cycles out in relation to Kevin Freese. I think that's going to be his main competition right now. Whereas Todd Merkel, he's going to keep running this 2 car as far as he can, it looks like. However, it's going to be tight for him. I'm not sure if he got a lap led that last time by or not, but if he didn't, he's going to have a 13 car of Ryan Kelly all over the back of him in probably this next set of corners here.
Absolutely, and we've already seen, I think Larry gained all the time he did off Ryan just simply having to pass that 88 a spell last lap. And now as we see Ryan go in the corner here, it's so much harder for Ryan to make these passes. And Merkel not going to come off the bottom. Going to really make Ryan check up here. Larry, though, didn't get the exit he wanted to with the 071. Ryan now clear, but here comes the 67. If he clears the 2, it's going to be another net game for Yingling. He didn't get to bring it to the wall like he wanted to, but both drivers get through and really, I think, keep about the same distance here. Now, the 67 will probably get to the 13, but the 13 has got to not miss his marks. He just has to run the bottom. the most aggressive driver is going to win this. This is not a racetrack with the way this car is handling tonight where you can just kick back and relax and hope to save enough tire. You have got to be on offense or defense aggressively, which means I honestly want to see that 13 block that 67. He can park it on the bottom. Make that 67 pass you on the outside, because it's probably not going to happen. When I'm on the front stretch, I'm taking that car all the way down to the inside wall, putting that 67 on my outside. And even if he sends it in, I'm going to send it in and make sure I hold it on the bottom. That way he gets up in all those dirty marbles. See, if I'm that 13, that's what I do. I start bringing that car down. I start protecting that bottom. And he's going to have to do that for another 15 laps, Gael. And that's going to be a tall order, but if he wants to win the race, he's going to have to do that to that 67, because he's obviously cutting the bottom a lot better right now.
Yeah, so these 15 laps right now are going to feel like an eternity for Ryan Kelly. Like I said, because to say he's, again, same strategy side of things, he's going to be just that, whoa, just barely doesn't kiss the wall there, but very close there. But yeah, like you said, though, he's going to have to try to hold that 67 off for a very long time here. And saying at Indy, I mean, these laps, they're about 50 seconds or more. Actually, last time by a 54.03 for Ryan Kelly. So I say this is going to feel like an eternity for this 13 car. And I mean, Larry is there, so I mean, he's going to have to be picture perfect here these remaining laps if he's going to try to keep that 67 behind. Because just whatever it is, Larry's found something tonight. He's really got some great long run pace in that 67 car. Pretty equal off of the turn 4 there, so I think Ryan's going to feel pretty safe here entering 1. But you know, Larry, you can see he's just kind of peeking his nose, letting Ryan know he's there. But these two are going to have a great battle to the end here.
And the 13's not doing the advice I had, and there it is. 67's got the nose. He's not slowing himself down and protecting that bottom line. Now the 13 may get a run off this corner, and if he can clear, it's going to be a good save. But that 67 probably going to try that side draft, and it's going to work. The 67 is going to stay beside him, start pulling that 13 back. Look for the 67 to clear going into turn 3.
Yeah, so this is where Ryan's going to have to try to fight Larry, but no, he can't. Like I said, the inside line just too strong here. So Larry's going to take the lead back now with 14 to go. Come to 13 to go. So put Larry Yingling back to the point tonight in that 67 machine. So we'll see if Ryan Kelly, if he can find something left in the tank. You see Larry, he's going to try to break that draft a little bit. Didn't even mention to say those drivers a little further back. Kevin Freese, he's got about a 4.5-5 second advantage over Chad Wilkes, with about a 5-lap difference in tires between the two of them. So it'll be pretty close between the two of them. Last time by, Chad was about a half a second quicker, so it's not a done deal yet for Kevin. He's got a little bit more to try to keep that 17 behind him. And then also just a little further back, 5th and 6th position, Kevin DeBrown just got around the number 94 of Dale Knott, so moved Kevin back into the top 5. But like I said, unfortunately, that mistake, and also, like I said, also qualifying in the back tonight just has not helped that 93 car's potentials of a win tonight. So we'll see if he can, right now recovering into a top 5. I think without a caution, this is probably where he's going to settle in tonight. Because, I mean, right now he's about 7 seconds off Chad Wilkes. And I just unfortunately don't see that gap coming back down, especially with Chad pitting 3 laps later.
Absolutely. And, you know, Kevin Brown, as it stands, I believe he is going to get that award for the most cars passed. That's a bonus point, but that wasn't his goal tonight. His goal was to win. So I think that right from qualifying, Kevin Brown missed an opportunity to win this race. I think we've seen it on track. The guy had plenty of speed. It's just he just did not. He chose to try to go for some bonus points, but he was in a must-win situation. So if he misses the playoffs, he'll look at this race tonight and think, what could I have done different?
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think the 93 actually caught the wall again here out of turn number 3. And saying he's actually hit pit road. So unfortunately, I think that might be the night for the 93, unless he's opting to get that damage repairs done to that 93 car. Because, yeah, he's got some pretty significant right front damage to that car. So, yeah, so unfortunately, just night going a little bit from bad to worse for Kevin there. So, yeah, so unfortunately, that may be night done. But definitely that's pretty much it for being in the top 5 tonight. So,
And I'll tell you what, we had it wrote off that night was done for the 13, but the 13 is actually gaining time back on that 67. Could Ryan have been just conserving some tire in front of the 67? Did he just snooker him? Because look at him now, starting to reel the 67 back in. We did not expect this, Gael. We might have a race for the lead on our hands before the night's over with.
Yeah, say Ryan, I'd say he sent it in turn 3 there, maybe a little bit too much even. But yeah, so he's definitely trying to keep Larry honest. You know he's not going to want to let Larry just walk away here. I'll say these two, like you mentioned, they've been the class of the field all season long. And I mean, Ryan Kelly, he got kind of caught on fuel mileage a couple times by the 67 at the beginning of the year, then got his couple of wins in. But now Larry is he's been kind of swinging back to the 67's way now as well. So it's like I said, it's definitely not over by any means between the two of them here. That gap between Chad Wilkes and Kevin Freese, it's about 3 seconds now between them. And then also coming up for position, James Ledford starting to creep in on the 48 on the 1 of Gabe Butler. That would be 9th and 10th position. And I say, unfortunately, with that issue for the number 93 car, that's now actually promoted the 92 of Chris Matthews as our highest climber right now with +7 from his starting position.
Absolutely. Just Kevin Brown give it all he had tonight. And I'm not going to lie, Gaio, you know me and him have had our differences on track. We were joking around earlier before the race, about past stuff and just messing with each other on track. But, I feel for him tonight because I know what he had to do. We talked about what he had to do. He came into this race with great pace, driving from 12th all the way up to 5th. And just a couple of mistakes. That's all it takes with the guys you're running with. It takes just one. Really, the one mistake took his win away. The second mistake just solidified it. So we may not see Kevin Brown, who was a Final Four participant last season, not even make the playoffs this season. That is huge for a driver of his caliber. But that also opens up the room for someone else to get in that maybe we haven't ever seen in our playoff system just yet, Gael. So as we're looking at that, I still see this 13. He has run down that 67. Maybe the 67's backed off his pace to save him some tire. I don't know. But the 13, he is going to have to get under that 67. That is the problem. And the 13 whipping it real loose off 4. And that's not going to help his cause. But here's the difference I see. When Ryan Kelly was leading, he could not protect the bottom. He kept letting the car slide up. And that was a mistake. Look at Larry Yingling's car. Look at it hook to the bottom every time. Even if it's not the fastest car, he is staying on the bottom, right? So what does that mean? It means that the 13 cannot pass on the bottom. So now he's either going to have to get a run off the corner or he's going to have to pass on the outside. And look at the 67 doing exactly what I was thinking the 13 should have been doing earlier. Running that bottom, protecting that line. And I think that's ultimately going to be the difference in who wins tonight. One driver chose to protect the bottom and one driver chose not to. And that's going to be the difference.
Yeah, so we'll see if Ryan can make another late charge and say, and the thing is with Indy, it's just, and it's exactly like you said. I mean, you have to be picture perfect lap after lap, and so we were talking about being a kind of 15 laps, just an eternity for Ryan Kelly. But I mean, it's not out of the woods yet for Larry too. He's still got 7 to go here, so he's got to be picture perfect as well for these remaining 7 laps. Because any little bobble, if he misses that bottom groove, I mean, that's going to let Ryan Kelly probably gain, honestly, probably about a 1/10 of a second or so if Ryan hits his mark. So. It's going to be very interesting to see. Right now, Larry has been able to stretch out just a little bit this last lap or so. It was about a 3/10 of a second quicker lap for Larry over Ryan. And then that battle for third, though, that's starting to heat up as well. Again, Chad Wilkes, 5 lap fresher tires than Kevin Freese. But now and you can see right there, Kevin just missing the bottom there out of 2. Chad right on that white line. And I think this is kind of in Chad's wheelhouse as well, just having to hit your marks lap after lap. Kind of brings back kind of his road racing prowess in that 17 car. So I think this really can put that good potential here for that battle for that 3rd spot as well.
Absolutely. And then, we talk about that battle for the lead as, Ryan Kelly's now really kind of fell off pace, about a half second or so back, if not even more, about 6/10 now. As we close in on the last 6 laps of the race. You talked about the 67 having to be perfect. He really doesn't have to be. He just has to make sure his car stays on the bottom. He can slow down. He can go probably 10 mile an hour slower in the corners than he's used to going because that's still not enough for a car to make a pass on the outside. The only thing he has to watch is to make sure he has the right line. He's not going for speed right now. He's just looking at consistency. If he gets speed from it, cool. But really what he's looking for is just keeping it on the bottom and making sure there's 0% chance that 13 gets under him. He wants to make sure that the 13 goes above him. But there is a battle for position on the track in front of them, and it's 2 cars that are still on the lead lap with just 5 laps remaining. Gael, that lap traffic could be the difference to let Ryan Kelly not only catch up, but if they really go side by side and block Larry Yingling from progressing, that could cause a pass to get made very late in this race. So we really need to watch this lap traffic and see how that shakes out.
Yeah, exactly, Ryan. Do need to mention Chad Wilkes. We just saw that on the camera there. Chad Wilkes just able to get around Kevin Freeze, get back to that third position. Like you said, unfortunately, kind of a net loss overall with the leaders, though. So went for the gamble, hasn't paid off for Chad, but he has been able to recover and get back into that top 5. And also a good battle here with Chris Matthews, Todd Merkel. These two have been going back and forth the last couple of laps as well. Right now, Chris just had it there off of 4, but now Todd's going to get the crossover on him down the front stretch here. But like you said, I'm going to stick with this for just a moment because they're having a great fight between the two of them. And it looks like now Todd again, he's going to have the run here in turn number 1. He's going to take that spot back. Overdrives it though. That's going up for Chris to see if he can recover back. But now we'll jump back to that battle. Oh, actually I won't, because Chris now does get underneath Todd as these two keep going right now. This is a battle for the 7th position between the two of them.
Absolutely. They're just swapping back and forth. They have nothing to lose. The guys behind them are about 8 seconds back. Probably not going to gain on them. The guy in front of them is about 4 seconds ahead. They're not going to gain on him. So it's really just, this is a battle for position. 8th and 7th. And, hey, when I was in the playoffs, Kyle, last season, I missed the Final Four by 2 points. 2 or 3, something like that. But it was a very minimal amount of points. This one pass, when it comes to the playoff time, could be huge, right? You can make it in or out of the playoffs here by just 1 point is how close it can be for this last spot. So these two guys, it's no wonder they're battling for all this. So absolutely, every position matters at this point in the season for sure. If this was early on, I'd say it wouldn't, but right now this is huge. But it looks like Merkel's going to hold on to that.
Yeah, saying the lap traffic, we saw Gabe Butler just now letting Larry by. So did earlier the 48 of James Ledford. Whatever it is, it's just Larry's been able to manage these tires a little better. It's one of those things. he's actually this race he's been able to beat Ryan at his own game here at Indy. Last week he was actually able to beat Chet at his strong suit at the road courses. So that 67 Larry Yingling, he's been stepping it up a notch here these last couple of races, and I think this is kind of a warning shot, if you will, from the 67. Like, hey, you guys, I'm kind of beating you guys at your best races, your best kind of skills here. So you're going to be watching out for the 67 car once it comes time for those final 4 races.
Absolutely, he's just been smooth, steady, consistent. I wouldn't say he was the outright fastest car on pace. We saw in qualifying he was a little bit off, but he's kept that long run pace. He's really focused on his long runs. I've yet to see that car push up in a corner one time. And I've watched Larry make mistakes before, but we've kept eyes on him all night long, and you see it even now this late in the run. He's just right there on the bottom. And just the 13, I think all that slipping and sliding we saw him doing early on when the tires were fresh. And I gave the warning, right? That's going to make the tires angry, and it's going to make that car looser on the long run if you do all that. I think that's coming back to bite him now. He got too aggressive when the tires were fresh and not up to pressure, and now it's just caused Ryan to lose almost 2 seconds now to Larry Yingling. Is this what race winds down to the last 2 laps we're coming to?
Yeah, we're at 2 to go. Larry, I believe this time by is going to take the white flag. So Larry Yingling, this is definitely an important flag as you see it up. There's the flag flying there. Larry Yingling, he is going to get that white flag, so we're going to go caution-free once again here tonight, Maxwell. And obviously that's not the flag Larry wants to see, but it's a very nice flag, so you don't have to worry about the stress of a restart. Do you take tires? Do you not take tires? So that just now lets Larry just focus back, look forward here, hit his marks as he's been doing all night long. He's going to come out of 2 for the final time here tonight at Indy.
Absolutely, and apologies for me. I did the same thing I did a couple weeks ago. I had my view on another driver that was 1 lap down. That's why I thought it was a couple to go. But yes, on the white flag lap, just got to be smooth and consistent. 1.8 second gap. He could just chill from here. No big. Don't worry about getting loose. Don't worry about nothing else. But that 67 going to come out of turn 4, going to bring it down this long front straightaway, and going to bring it to yet another Area 51 victory and show Ryan Kelly that he's not messing around, that he is going to be a championship contender this season.
Yeah, Larry's definitely. We felt like Ryan had the overall pace at the beginning of the season. Almost like Ryan got robbed on the fuel mileage those first 2 races, but I think Larry's showing that he's going to be, like I said, right now, he's kind of putting himself as the top step on the podium tonight. And then there's Chad Wilkes. He's going to bring it home in the 3rd spot. Kevin Freeze, solid 4th position, just that one spot again off the podium. So he's been so close, so he just hasn't been able to make that happen. Dale Knott, he's going to bring home a top 5 tonight. Then Jack Walls, let's say a quiet but really solid night for him. Let's say he had to pit. He was one of the earliest to pit on that first pit stop, but he has made it work, and he is all the way up into that 6th position, plus 5 from his starting spot, and he is going to have a good result here tonight in that 6th position. And then right behind him, that number 82, or sorry, the number 2, Old Habits Die Hard, Todd Merkel. Great fight with Chris Matthews. He's going to win that battle there and get that 7th spot. And then Chris Matthews, he is going to be our highest climber tonight with the 6 positions gained, finishing in the 8th spot. And also the last car on the lead lap tonight. All right, so you see Chad Wilkes congratulating our race winner in that 67 car. You see that, now they're gonna head down into pit road. We'll watch Larry celebrate here tonight, and we'll go ahead and we'll pull up our final results as we watch Larry celebrate. That way we can get into the Larry's. I think he's had some practice with this, Maxwell.
Yes, I've told y'all before, I've raced with Larry ever since, I believe, the year 2010, all the way back in the Gran Turismo 5 days is where I met Larry. And his winning ways have not changed much since then. We were both teenagers, still in high school at that time, and here he is still years later. You know, what is it, 11? Almost 11 years later? Yeah. You know, still in his winning ways, and that's a heck of a burnout. I love seeing that.
That's some talent, yeah. I am impressed at that ability there. So that just comes with practice. Like, he's been winning these races. He's gonna be able to kind of keep nailing these burnouts down. So you see Larry England getting the win over Ryan Kelly, about a 2-second gap between them. Chad Wilkes there in 3rd, able to get back around Kevin Freeze with his alternate pit strategy. And then Dale Knott in 5th, Jack Walls 6th, Todd Merkel 7th, Chris Matthews 8th. And then those cars 1 or more lap down. Gabe Butler brings it home in 9th, James Ledford a top 10, Eric Laurie 11th, Michael Spell in 12th. Unfortunately, we mentioned that the troubles for the number 93, Kevin Brown, he finishes in 13th position, and then Joseph DeCiro in the 14th spot tonight. So with that, we got some drivers to chat with, and we are going to be starting things off with the 17 of Chad Wilkes. Let me hunt down that 17 there. There he is. All right, Maxwell, we're going to bring Chad on in here. Started in the 4th position, finishes in 3rd. So obviously, Chad, I know you kind of came in here without really any practice laps, so kind of had to just go with kind of what you do best. And say we know you're a quick learner with these cars, but say unfortunately, and I'll say Max and I we were kind of mixed bag on what the right strategy was going to be tonight. If you tried doing something, make a gamble happen. Unfortunately, say you went long, and unfortunately, just it never quite panned out. Never got that caution to maybe get you on a tire advantage tonight. Was that the game plan? Was just to try something different to maybe get yourself a leg up on Larry and Ryan, or I mean, what was your game plan for tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I was never going to catch them and pass them on track, so I screwed my qualifying up a little bit. I didn't have any practice really, so my first qualifying lap is what ended up counting, I think. But I was way up on my qualifying lap and screwed up turn 4, and once I was 4th, I was like, okay, I mean, I'm not really going to catch and pass them here, so. At that point, once I qualified for it, it was all about like finishing 3rd was all I wanted to do. And yeah, I mean, when everybody started pitting, I was 3rd, so I just wanted to do something different. If a caution came out, you know, I could get lucky and have the lead, and I feel like I could have done something if I was in the lead. But you know, I felt like the worst I was going to do was 3rd, and the best I was going to do was 3rd, unless I did something different. So tried to do something different, and I mean, that's where I ended up. So that's all good.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 strong races in a row. Obviously, getting second last week at Daytona, 3rd here tonight. I'll say I think you've missed a race or 2, so I'll say it's obviously going to kind of keep pushing you up into the top 8 in points as well. Because I think that's probably obviously kind of goal number 1, of course, is to get into that Final 4 in the top 8 to defend your championship as well. So I mean, is that something that you're looking at as well, as just to kind of maximize points, minimize any mistakes to make sure you're there at the end?
Yeah, for sure. I haven't even really looked at the points, so I don't know exactly where I am. Yeah, I had to miss a race, and I I don't know what the point situation is because I'm probably going to have to miss next week as well. It's going to be really close, but I'm probably going to have to miss it. So, yeah, definitely trying to, I don't really know what the point situation is. I've just been super busy, so I haven't been able to put in really any practice and stuff like I was able to last season. So, just trying to come in here and, do the best I can do and have fun and try to win a little money here or there.
Yeah, it's always good to get a little cash back in your pocket. Goes a long ways as well here. But I said we're going to hand it over to Max. Like I said, we were kind of not button heads, but we definitely had different opinions on the pit strategy side of things. So I'm going to let Maxwell here let him quiz you here a little bit too.
First off, Chad, congratulations on coming back for a third place finish. In my opinion, I thought the first run, as long as you stayed out, that you were really going to throw that finish away. I didn't think that fresh tires would last that long all through a run. I thought they'd equal out a little quicker. But the second stop, you kind of short pitted again and actually got kind of sort of back on sequence. So great job bringing it back to a P3 finish. But the question I have for you, man, is, you've got 5 wins now for Larry Yingling, 2 wins for Ryan Kelly. The only winners this season. You're still winless, and we're not used to that. You're still winless this season. I mean, what's it going to take for you to kind of jump ahead of these two and get you not only a win, but to come into these playoffs and try to defend that championship, Chad? What do you think they've got right now that you're maybe struggling with or you need to work on? Because I know we changed cars, and that could be a little bit of it maybe.
Time is probably the biggest thing with schools and football and everything starting. I really have zero amount of time to do anything practice wise. And last season I practiced a ton because I hadn't won a championship yet in these cars, and I knew I could. So, I put in a lot of time last year, and I think I ended up with maybe 5 wins and won the championship. So, I definitely put in the time and wanted to get that done last season, and I just haven't had that amount of time. So most weeks I'm coming in blind. I mean, last week I think for a road course I was able to run 5 to 10 laps of practice, and that's the most practice I've done for any race. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have the time to put the stuff in, and I don't know how much other guys do either, but I definitely perform a whole lot better when I have time to practice. Especially with these tracks, you can't figure anything out because there are no cautions either. So that's kind of the other part of not practicing. If we had more cautions, I would still be able to mix it up. But, if you start behind the 8 ball at all, if you figure anything out in the race, it doesn't matter because I don't know when the last time we've had a caution is. So, it's just kind of one of those deals. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that I can pull something out at some point. Larry stole the road course from me. But yeah, I mean, the same deal. I heard him say in the interview last week that he put in like 100 laps or something at the road course, and I put in 5. And so, I mean, what am I supposed to do with that? And I still, my fastest lap was still a second faster than him. But I mean, when it comes to stuff like that, there's not much I can do.
Absolutely. But man, hey, great run tonight. Not taking anything away from you there. I want to see someone win other than the 13 and the 67, and we know you're very well capable of it. So now we want to give you the floor for any shout outs and thanks you may have for this awesome third place finish, Chad.
Yeah, thanks to y'all for doing the broadcast, of course, as always. Thanks to all the drivers. I mean, there's been times where I've complained about too many cautions in this league for sure, and we've definitely went the other way. So, I mean, that is a credit to the drivers. I wish we could get a couple cautions here or there, but that is a credit to the drivers. So thanks to all of them. I do want to give a special shout out to Kevin Freeze he's been putting up practice rooms, I mean, for the last few weeks to try to give people opportunity to practice, and I haven't been able to do it much, but it's still good that somebody out there is doing that. And I mean, I know it's not a lot, but it still does cost money and does take time to go in there and set that stuff up. So thanks to him for giving people the opportunity, and thanks to the teammates. I don't even know who all was running in there with us today, but I mean, everybody raced super clean. Yeah, and if anybody's going to win the races, I'd rather it be Larry and Ryan than anybody else. So yeah.
Well, good job tonight, Chad. Enjoy this one. Like I said, always a pleasure to have you in these races with us. That's unfortunate, like I said, life kind of coming back again, keeping you busy, which might be to the benefit of some of these other guys. So maybe sneak in some laps when you get an opportunity to, and beat up on these guys next week here.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, that is our third place finisher there, Chad Wilkes. Now we got to jump over to our second place finisher tonight in that 13 of Ryan Kelly. So we'll bring Ryan on in here. Ryan started from the pole position tonight, was able to control that first portion of the race, Maxwell. But then I say I don't know if it was the track or what, but I say Ryan, I say this is one of those ones that's a little odd. We always talk about you being Mr. Long Run. I think Larry's been up to something here, because I say he was able to get the win at the road course over Chad, and tonight he's been able to get you on the long run pace. I say I think that Larry might be sneaking some extra laps here that we're not aware of.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely been quick, but he's always quick. So, I mean, I know he's got the most wins in the league of all time, so it's tough to beat him, but I did my best tonight, and this isn't normally one of my good tracks, so I'll take second for sure.
And I say, is it just kind of you and the track clicking? You feel like was that kind of what was the difference tonight? Or, I mean, what did you feel like what was giving you the most difficulties throughout the race tonight?
Yeah, I'm not sure. This was a very track sensitive, like race the track more than you race the other drivers type of race. So it was mainly just about hitting your line and hitting the right spots on the track. But one little mistake could cost like half a straightaway, and that's hard to make up on someone who's hitting their marks perfectly every time.
Yeah, I think you nailed there. So, like you said, having to hit those picture perfect laps, lap after lap, I'd say it's very difficult to do. So, I mean, I think the pit strategy, you were spot on again tonight, able to get those undercuts on Larry to give yourself that opportunity. I'd say only have the one extra lap on the difference of the tires, but it was enough to propel you to the front there. And so you're able to hold him for a while, of course, but then eventually, as the laps ran out, say just wasn't quite enough to hold him off. However, though. So I think you're gonna get an earful here from Maxwell, because I think he's gonna have a little bit of a disagreement on how you needed to race those final about 15 laps. So just be ready here, Ryan.
All right,
Ryan Kelly.
Yes,
hey,
sir.
Great job with a second place finish. Can't really hang your hat up too much on that. Like you said, you've lost to the guy that's won the most races all time and won the most races this season so far. The guy's just on a tear. 2 on fuel mileage that probably should have been yours, but 2 on just outright pace, and one of those was tonight. I do think he had a faster car than you, for sure, but here is my big question, Ryan. You had the opportunity on pit stops to jump ahead of him both times with about a 1.5-second gap, and obviously he ran you down, but with this being a one-groove track, he was able to pass you on the bottom. So I guess my question is, was it hard for you to try to protect the bottom in this race? Did your car have just too much of a push, or what caused you think to lose the lead? And is there anything you think you could have done different, even with the car you had tonight, to have kept that 67 behind you for those last 15 laps?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, on the first run, I know I held him on the outside for a lap or two, but I kind of just, it was before the last pit stop, but I kind of just let him go after that because I didn't want to lose too much time to the guys behind us just to make it a 2-car race. So after the second pit stop, I figured I could maybe try and pinch him on the bottom, because you definitely wanted to get all the way to that wall to get the best run for the back stretch and the front stretch. But I mean, by the time, he was just too quick. I think wherever he went, he probably would have passed me.
Absolutely. Well, hey, nothing to get your head hung up about, but hey, we've got playoffs coming up, so you need to get to those winning ways. You got one more race till we get started there, so you gotta tighten them belts up a little bit and go after that 67. Don't let him run away with this. But great run though. Second place is awesome. What kind of thanks and shout outs do you want to give? We're going to give you the floor here to kind of give any thanks and shout outs you may have for that awesome second place run tonight.
Yeah, a bunch of teammates tonight, all the teammates in the Discord. Shout out to you guys, of course. Awesome broadcast, and all the guys around the league. Love these Xfinity cars, and hopefully we can race them for many more seasons to come.
Yeah, great job tonight, Ryan. Say next week we're going back to season 4 finale, or sorry, season 8 finale. I can't even keep up where we were. It's going to be at Phoenix next week, so say it's going to be a lot of fun over there. I know you guys put on a really good show there last time out, so I think that's going to be a lot of fun to see what you guys can do there with these Xfinity cars. I think that one's going to be kind of, I think it's going to be definitely in your guys' wheelhouse to really kind of be able to slip and slide those cars. So good run tonight. I say he's still obviously holding solidly in that points battle there with Larry. I say we'll obviously be seeing for sure you two in that final 4 races. Now we got to see who the 6 others are going to be with you. So you got one more to go, and then it's going to be all about the game face. So yeah, enjoy this one, Ryan, and look forward to catching you next week, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, that leaves one driver left, and I think we've had previous talks with him in some various races before, and there's been plenty of wins as well in that, and that is that 67 of Larry Yingling qualifying in 3rd tonight. But man, Larry, last week you got the road course ace of Chad Wilkes. Tonight you got the kind of the long run master of Ryan Kelly here. I think you're kind of showing these guys that you're going to be, it doesn't matter what their wheelhouse is, you're going to be going after them no matter what it is.
Yeah, I was actually quite surprised of how much pace I had for the long run against Ryan tonight. I know the first run he definitely had me. I was just mainly not cruising, but I was content with Ryan second, just watching him, what he does, and I found something, and turn 4 has always been my worst corner here, and I found something with my braking, and getting back in the throttle, and I think that helped me big time. And in the first run, I saw Ryan get into the wall a little bit. I don't believe that really hurt his pace at all, because he told me his top speed at the end of the straight was the same as me. But then the track just kept tightening up so much, and I think maybe my slower pace a little bit entering the corner just saved a lot more tire than him. I think he had like 10% less right front than me at the end of the race or mid race. And yeah, I mean, not too much really happened. Just somehow found that pace. And he short pitted me the lap after I got by him on the first run, which I had a very good feeling he would pit that lap. But I didn't want to pit before him in that situation anyway. I'd rather had the fresher tires, and I saw how quickly I got by him. I thought that was because of fresher tires, which probably was. So I made sure I pitted after him. In the second run too, I was contemplating staying on second lap because he pitted pretty early. I was unsure if we could make enough fuel, but luckily I persuaded myself to pit that next lap.
Yeah, so the pit strategy was definitely, I think Ryan was one of the earliest there to pit on that final stop there. And that, I think that's one of these, this is one of the tracks you can really do it at. You don't have to worry as much about it because of the fact that you can almost run this like a road course because you can make that green flag pit stop as long as you're close enough and not lose a lap. So I say there's definitely a few different strategies on the pit stops, pitting once you're in the window, some drivers pitting really long, kind of banking on maybe trying to get that timely caution to put themselves in a better position. During that pit stop cycle, when you would go in and you'd see like Chad Wilkes and some of those other guys run long, were you at all nervous about what the strategy would be if a yellow came out, that if you maybe have to burn an extra set or just have to kind of hold them off on potentially, let's say, 5 or 6 lap older tires?
Yeah, I knew if in that situation, if a caution come out, my chance at a win was pretty much gone. I always kept thinking of Iowa a few seasons ago. Chad, he pitted early, which he didn't tonight, but he had such a big lead. It took a while for me to catch him, but a caution came out, and that just kept him the lead for the next restart, and he ended up winning the race. So I was just hoping both times for no caution, but both times I pitted, I expected to come out further behind Ryan, especially the first time. I was a baby entering the pits and entering my stall, but I pretty much came out right behind him, the same distance both times, and that definitely helps when you have fresher tires. If you start way further behind, your 1 lap fresher tires won't mean anything.
Yeah, you definitely. So we did notice on the first stop. Yeah, we could tell you definitely weren't as aggressive as you could have been. By say a pit penalty here obviously would really hurt. And I think that was, in the grand scheme of things, definitely a way to go on that one to play it safer there. Because So Chad even mentions like we're not sure when the last deal has been in this league. So awesome job here tonight, Larry. So I'm gonna pass you over to Maxwell though, because I know he's gonna have some things to pick your brain on as well.
First off, great win, Larry. That's win number 5 of the season out of 7 races. Truly showing that you are a force to be reckoned with, as always. I guess my question is, I don't think you had the outright pace of some other drivers on fresh tires, but do you feel like you probably had the best car on the long runs out of everybody you were around? And do you feel like that one lap of fresher tires you had each run, do you think that actually carried with you the whole run, or was there a certain point where you felt like the tires kind of equalized out?
I think the tires helped a little bit. The first like 5-10 laps, Ryan was pretty equal with me. So I figured something out late in the first run, and I think I didn't think of it because he had a little bit of damage, so I maybe thought it was his damage, but I kept transferring every run, and each time I got by him, he would start closing in a little bit. Then I kept reminding myself to do something specific, entering the corners to help my run off, and from there, and he was overdriving it too, definitely in my mirror on the last run. So I knew just keep going my pace, and a few laps later I started pulling away.
Absolutely. Well, hey, great win tonight. Great run. I know this is about to take probably another 10 minutes of our time here with you, but if you want to give any thanks and shout outs for your win, we know you got a slew of sponsors on that car you got to give some thanks to. So we're going to give you the floor now, man, to just give those thanks and shout outs you got, man.
Definitely on my teammates this race: Ryan Kelly, Chad Wilkes, Kevin Freese, James Ledford, and Todd Merkel, and all my sponsors this race: Hash Sports Performance. If you need any work done in your LS engine or GM vehicle, contact them on Facebook to see what they can do for you. Muffin Sports Cards. If you are into sports car collecting or want to get into it and don't know where to start, follow Muffin Sports Cards on Instagram. He is always wanting to get people closer to the hobby and can help you find stuff, so don't be afraid to ask him for help. And Fort Worth Screen Printing. If you like t-shirts, jackets, bags, hats, shorts, among other stuff with custom artwork printed on them, check them out on fwscreen.com. Props to you guys as always for great podcasts, and big props to the league for allowing us to race the Xfinity car this season, because it's been a blast. Definitely looking forward to next season with these cars.
All right, so before we let you go, Larry, I got to put you on the spot here, because the first one is where you've been getting this burnout practice, because I think that's one of the best ones Maxwell and I saw there going all the way down the front stretch until you pop that motor.
I don't know. I don't really do much burnouts these days. Thinking it's long straight.
Well done on the burnout. And then I say the next one, of course, I say we got to do it. I say I'm sorry, but I say next week we're at Phoenix. I say I don't know if you get the extra set of tires that you left there last season. So I mean, what's the game plan to get that win at the final season, regular season finale, I should say, before we kick off those final 4 races?
Well, my pit crew is definitely already starting to train to change 4 tires every single caution. If there is cautions next week, who knows? Yeah, definitely be nice having fresh rubber every restart.
Yeah, so I figure give a little bit of trouble, but yeah, I mean, just awesome job tonight, just in this season also. I mean, you've just been killing it. It doesn't matter if it's road races, if it's tonight, say on the long run, fuel mileage. Just say you've been checking all the boxes, Larry. So just hats off to you for a tremendous season. So like I said, one more to go for the regular season, then those final 4 playoff races. So it's like enjoy this one tonight, and then look forward to catching you kind of do what you do best next week, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Maxwell, that is our race winner in that number 67 machine. But man, yeah, just Larry's been on a roll this season. He's been doing a little bit of everything. We feel like he kind of snookered a couple from Ryan at the beginning of the season, but man, he's just been beating these guys heads up at kind of their best strengths here these last couple of races. So I think he's definitely showing that he's going to be one of the guys to beat, which we knew going into it. But I mean, he's really kind of flexing that muscle now, I feel like.
Absolutely, he's doing what Larry does, man. He is just absolutely going after it, getting everything he can, and it's just, racking up these wins. Hey, he's got sponsors on those cars now. He's got to make sure he keeps the sponsors happy. He's definitely doing that with 5 wins this season. I'm not going to lie. I've been sitting up here, at least especially tonight in the booth, thinking, man, maybe if I was in that race, maybe I could have done something, or maybe I could have protected that bottom if I was in Ryan's shoes. I don't know. I don't know if Larry's multiple winning and just our relationship as good friends is starting to get to me, and I'm wanting to go try to put a bumper to him myself or what it is. But, man, I don't want to see him dethroned, but I want to see someone come in, and I want to see some different winners this season, and I think there's plenty of guys that can do it. I think Dale Knott's on the verge of it. He's normally running top 5, not the strongest night tonight, but we know he had a lot of traveling this week. He did, and barely even made it in time for the race, so definitely a tough night for him. Kevin Brown showed a lot of pace tonight, just didn't have things go his way there at the end. Todd Merkel had started to see some pace, but then kind of fell off as the race went on. Kevin Freese, I'm waiting to see Kevin Freese get in victory lane. I think he's so close. It's just going to be a matter of putting everything together. We see him run with Larry and Ryan and Chad until pit stops, and then all of a sudden he disappears. So if he can work on that part of his runs, I think we'll see a lot of stuff out of Kevin Freese. So just multiple drivers out there with a shot at some stuff, but just it's just going to take that aggression level kind of ramping up a little bit. That's something I'm not seeing right now, is a lot of drivers willing to risk it to make a pass. And, I know the league is founded on a lot of clean racing, and we've seen a lot of that. But, man, I miss a lot of that side-by-side, that 3-wide stuff. And obviously tonight we wasn't going to see that. But, I miss a lot of the aggressive driving we see out of guys, and just that desire that every position matters. Because as these playoffs come up, there's $150 on the line, Gael, for that champion. And, when we go into the playoffs, as far as I know, I believe everything just resets and everybody's equal in that top 8, I think. I don't know if we've got bonus points carrying over. I'm not positive. But
no, I think you're right. I think it's winning you advance, and then everybody will say the bonus of the wins is the fact that you make it into the playoffs. So I'll say for Larry, of course, having those 5 wins, he'd love to have those bonus points, but I think it's one of those things where it's like, well, you don't want to give the guy who's been the fastest all year too big of an advantage. And I say, with this one being the best of the overall 4-race playoff system, I say instead of doing the winner-take-all finale like we did last season, I think that's the goal of having everybody kind of just be equal going into it. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see. So we've got a great mix of tracks in those final 4. So we're going to, obviously, next week Phoenix, but then we've got Vegas to open it off. Then we got Iowa. That should be a very interesting and I think a fun short track for those drivers tonight, or for the drivers here. And then Auto Club will be the second to last race, with finishing off at Homestead, Miami. So I think it's like kind of the old finale of what NASCAR used to run before they switched to Phoenix. So last season we had Phoenix as a finale. This season we're going to do Homestead, and I think these final 4 races, I think we're going to see things ramp up a little bit from those top 8 drivers.
Absolutely. And before we even get there, Gael, we still got to remember we've got 1 race left. 1 race, win and you're in. Doesn't matter where you're at in points. Win and you're in. There are drivers we just talked about with a good chance at that. And we've got some drivers that are on the outside looking in. And Gael, as the standings got updated just a few minutes ago, as we look through, you've got Dale Knott right there on the edge in that 8th spot, right? He is 9 points back from 7th. So, I mean, it's tight right there with Merkel. But look at this, 9th place, Christopher Matthews. 2 points outside the top 8. Just 2 points. Jack Walls, only 7 points outside of that. Eric Laurie, 8 points out. That can all flip around in one race, Gael. If you've got 16, 18 guys out there, that can flip around in just one race. One guy has some bad luck. Look at Kevin Brown tonight, running strong. Gets in the wall, tears the car up, out of the race. That's all it takes, Gael. 1 corner, 1 lap to change this whole playoff picture. And you got some guys to be 2 points out of that top 8. If I'm Christopher Matthews, I'm doing whatever I can. I don't know. I may pull a Ryan Newman at Phoenix, right? Put a bumper to somebody to get in. That's how important it is. Obviously not wreck nobody, but, just race aggressive. Get there and make the passes you need. Give it everything you have. Put the practice in this week at Phoenix to try to get that. Because those are 3 drivers right there. Christopher Matthews, Jack Walls, Eric Laurie. You don't know how these things will fan out. Eric Laurie, we see a couple incidents out of him, but he keeps it on track for the most part. Jack Walls, we know he has speed at times, and he can be very fast. Christopher Matthews, he's been just consistent this season. Maybe that consistency will be enough if Dale Knott has a bad race, if Todd Merkel has a bad race, to get themselves in. Kevin Freeze not exactly locked in either, or Gabe Butler, really, for that matter. I mean, you've got a lot of positions, probably 5th through 11th, that could really swap up next week, Gael. And the only way we can find out who's going to make this top 8 is to go next week and do my favorite thing, race.
Yep, exactly right. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what we got in store for the regular season finale at Phoenix. Say Larry Yingling, Ryan Kelly, they've run away with this season, but again, it's all going to get washed away, reset to 0, and then it's just all about being the best of those final 4 races. And I mean, and that's the thing is, you might see someone that's going to maybe take some gambles, maybe a Ryan Kelly or Larry Yingling. Maybe they don't want to be as aggressive in those opening couple of races to risk losing points, and that's where someone capitalizes. So, like you said, we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be fun to see how it all pans out. We'll be back again, of course, next week at Phoenix. We'll be back on Sunday evening for this Super Speedway series. Same thing there. We'll be closing into that final 4 races there as well. So, and hope you all enjoyed the race tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Maxwell, as always, a pleasure to have you in the booth with me. So you make it a ton of fun. And I'm the same as you, man. There's times where it's like, I just want to get out track with these guys. So, unfortunately, someone's got to do the broadcast, so maybe I'll start pitching my bidders out there, see if anybody wants to cover for me, and I'll hop on these cars as well one of these days.
Absolutely, we'd love nothing more than to see you out there on track every now and then, Gael. We do in-race reporting while you're driving. Do you think you can handle that, Gael?
I'm pretty good at hitting the wall on my own, so I'm pretty sure I can do it also while racing and talking. So I think I can figure it out.
Sounds good, man. That'd be awesome to see, but. Yeah, having fun broadcasting this year. It's a fine line, Gael. I'm having so much fun broadcasting. But at the same time, as I look at these guys, I'm like, ooh, if I was in that car. Ooh, if I could make that move. Ooh, I think I could do this. Oh, it's coming back to me. Gael, man, it's a win-lose every time, right? I love broadcasting, but I miss that racing out there, too. It looks like a lot of fun these guys have had this season.
Yeah, exactly right. So we'll figure out what season 10, I think it was. Well, it's amazing how fast these seasons are going through, what it's going to unfold for us. But until then, though, I hope you all enjoyed it tonight. We'll be back again, like I said, on Sunday for a Super Speedway series. And like I said, it's just about time to get that regular season finale for all of the Area 51 series. So definitely stay tuned with us at Green White Checker TV. So hope you all enjoyed it. Have a wonderful evening. And as always, of course, happy Friday Eve. And have a good night, everybody.